Is vinyl killing our planet? We're going to talk about that today, plus Kiss, other stuff, and more.
Coming up next on AMA.
Okay, do yours though.
No, that's good.
That's not good. I'm joking. I said plus Kiss, other stuff, and more.
That's okay.
Okay.
33 RPM.
Hi, my name is Frank,
I'm Sherry.
and you are watching AMA on channel 33 RPM, your channel for vinyl, gear, and more. It's been like 2 months since you've been on here, Sherry.
Been a while.
So welcome back. We've got a ton of good questions coming up, but before we get into that, I just posted this on Facebook as well. It's a time of year where Spotify is posting all these lists of the top albums you've spun or streamed this year. So I got my top 5 artists, and you got your top 5
I got
artists.
my artists, but I didn't do my albums like you did.
That's okay, we'll do top artist. I'll say one, then you say one.
Okay.
And apparently the artist I listened to most this year on Spotify, and these are kind of surprising, but it was Sammy Hagar.
Mine was El King. Mine's not surprising at all.
Okay.
I completely agree with mine.
Number 2, Judas Priest.
Adele.
Number 3, The Circle, which is a Sammy Hagar band.
My number 3 is Hailstorm.
Kid Rock. I know Kid Rock doesn't get a lot of love, but I, especially in the summertime, listen to Kid Rock.
Number 4 is Lindsey Sterling.
My number 5 is Tesla.
And my number 5 is Barnes Courtney.
So interesting looking back at these lists. I like physical media, but I stream a lot as well. And yeah, what are your top artists on Spotify? Let us know in the comments below.
Question number 1 by Paul Wibb. Off topic slightly, but what does anyone think the future of record manufacturing holds from the point of view of sustainability in this, the age of looking after our planet, and obvious push for reduction of plastics?
So this is a good question. Essentially, he's asking, are vinyl records killing our planet? And yes, there are definitely some environmental issues with vinyl. First of all, they're made out of plastic, vinyl plastic that takes hundreds of years to decompose. The manufacturing process consumes energy and utilizes chemicals, some of which are harmful to the environment. And to distribute the records requires the burning of fossil fuels. You're delivering records across the city, across the country, across the continent, and across the ocean. So yes, there's an environmental impact, definitely. However, it's not all bad. Many of us record collectors are not just buying new records, we're also buying vintage records. So in that respect, I would suggest many of us are actually recycling old materials and actually helping the environment in that respect.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you can recycle, buy the old stuff, and those are even more popular than what's new. So, I mean, it would be probably a little bit better than other objects because you do tend to look back and buy backwards, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, the other alternative is streaming music, as we talked about at the top of today's episode. And is streaming really better for the environment? You think about these big, I've seen pictures of this, these big like server farms where all this data is stored on these massive, I don't know the terms for, like hard drives or whatever, and the amount of power required to keep that stuff functioning and to keep that stuff cool is like apparently out of this world. It requires a ton of energy. So from that perspective, I mean, people often forget that, but there's also an environmental cost to streaming music.
Well, there's an environmental cost to pretty much everything that we do, so yeah.
Yeah, and listen, I pulled these stats from the internet. A recent study tracked greenhouse gas emissions related to the distribution of music. So check this out. In 1977, the greenhouse gas emissions were 140 million kilograms. By 1988, that actually dropped to 136. Then it started rising again to 157 million kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions in 2000. And get a load of this. In 2016, the estimate came in between 200 and 350 million kilograms in the US alone, which is more than double 1977 values. And a lot of that has to do with streaming. So, I like this question. I got on a roll. Where does this all lead? And I think there have been some recent innovations which are actually going to make the whole record making and distribution and listening process a little more environmentally sustainable. There's Viral Technologies of Toronto. They've designed a new steamless pressing machine, basically making the pressing of records more efficient. And there's HD Vinyl out of Europe. They're streamlining the process of pressing a record using less chemicals, and that's supposed to be better for the environment as well. So it's going to be interesting how this all works out, because of course many people anyway are really sensitive to this sort of environmental impacts of our daily living nowadays. So yeah, I thought it was a good question. Anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, next question.
Okay, question number 2 comes from Jack. Hey Frank, for next AMA, my name is Jack. I'm 13 and really into Kiss. I've been to 2 concerts and have about 35 Kiss records. Can you rank your top 10 or top 5?
Jack, this is cool. You don't hear many 13-year-olds, I don't think, are into Kiss.
No.
So anyway, I mean, my list can change any day of the week, but as it stands right now, I'll go in order for my number 1, Kiss Debut, followed by Dress to Kill, Love Gun, Unmasked, and Revenge. Sherry, you?
Yes.
Next question.
Okay, question 3 comes from Eddie Tree. Complaints about prices make me sick. I'm poor, unemployed, etc., but I still know that it costs a lot to make a record. Do these cheap people want the industry to go broke so they can get a cheap record? Watch some vids on record production before whining about prices.
I'm not sure how to, this is not a question, this is more...
It's more of a comment.
Statements.
And I have a comment.
Go.
I agree. I tend to agree. I agree, though, across all creative outlets. So I would agree with artists of all types that creativity is specific to different people. So different people like different things. So some people may not be willing to pay $50 for something from some artist, but they would be willing to pay $50 for something from another. So I think it's all objectionable, and it depends on who... Objective. Creativity is... Yeah, objective. It's kind of all in the eyes of the beholder, and I think that if you're not Subjective.
Oh my God.
Words, all the words. So I think that it is just based on who you like and what you're willing to pay for something. So I do tend to agree that if you're whining that something is too expensive, then it's not for you.
Yes and no. I'm willing to pay a reasonable amount of money for a well-produced, well-packaged, well-recorded record. But there are some examples. I'm going to complain. I reserve the right. There are some examples of price gouging. I'm not a Spice Girls fan, but when they had this Spice World picture disc or whatever coming out earlier this year, I saw the pre-order on Amazon was $55 Canadian. So if I was a Spice Girls fan, I'd be complaining about that. The price quickly dropped on it by $55. That's sort of ridiculous. The other thing is, if I'm paying a premium price for a record, I expect quality. And unfortunately, it's not always there. Like, you're spending, say, $30 on a record, which I've done, and you get it, and the spindle hole in the middle is off center, or it's coming scuffed out of the sleeve. It doesn't happen all the time. I wouldn't even say it happens regularly. It's getting better now. That does happen, which is weird, because back in Record 1.0, I call it, when we were collecting records up until the late 80s, I never saw those kind of flaws, and it's kind of a recent phenomenon. So yes, I reserve the right to complain until they kind of fix those things. If I'm paying a premium price for a premium product, I expect a premium product.
Yeah, but I also think that going back to he's talking about people who are always whining about prices. Yeah. And yeah, I'm going to stick with mine, that I think that if you're whining about the price, then the product is not for you.
Okay. I'm more of the get off my lawn kind of guy.
He is.
Next question.
Okay, question number 5 by Florida Living. Frank, I was curious in what you do with your inner sleeves, the original artwork, when you replace them with new inner sleeves that you promote. Do you save the old ones, or do you save them or toss them out? Looking at replacing all inner sleeves, but really like some of the cool artwork. Thanks, and have a great week.
All right, another good question, a practical question. But first of all, I want to set the record straight. Like, I don't promote, or get paid anyway, to promote any specific brand of inner sleeves. I like the Mobile Fidelity MoFi ones. I've used those for years. I also like the ones that Vinyl Storage Solutions produces, but I don't like the word promote. But hold on, so I'll show you an example. So definitely I keep the inner sleeves. So here's Alice Cooper Dirty Diamonds. So it's in this inner sleeve. In the back I tuck in the records. I always take the record out of the inner sleeve and I put it in a MoFi sleeve or whatever I may have at that time. And then I save the original one. I would never toss these out. That's a part of the record packaging, an important part of it. You got artwork, you got lyrics, you got album credits. So I always keep that and I tuck it back inside the back of the album jacket. I mean, there's a couple of benefits to not keeping a record in here. One, you put in an anti-static sleeve, it helps control static. Also, when you keep putting the records in these inner sleeves that come with it,
You're eventually going to rip the sides.
Yes.
And you're also going to crease around it, right?
Yes, you can create...
The circular crease around the record.
Yep. And you keep dropping records in here. I mean, you look at...
Eventually they're just going to come out the bottom.
Definitely, we've all done that. So those are the two reasons I keep them out. But yes, I always save them and tuck them to the back of the record. Good question. All right, 33, a short and sweet episode of AMA with the wonderful, the fabulous Mrs. Channel 33 RPM. Let us know what you thought of today's episode in the comments below. Remember, if you liked it, leave a thumbs up. Otherwise, dear 33ers, we hope each and every one of you has a fantastic week. Until next time, keep on spinning.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Frank Landry. Our vinyl record's killing our planet. We're going to talk about that, Kiss, price of stuff, other stuff, and more coming up.
On AMA.
On AMA.
You happy with that one?
No. Guess you're into AMA now, aren't you?
That sounds wrong.
Our vinyl record. Okay, look, we gotta have... I can't now because now I'm laughing.